Hey, happy Sunday and happy number 6 of 15 live of the 5 week challenge. So happy to have you along in this journey. I love the messages and emails that I'm getting from everybody just telling me all of these amazing things that are happening. And this is just the end of week 2. So this is really awesome. So when you hop on, say hello. While I am waiting for you to jump on, I'm going to go ahead and share this. And if you would please do the same. You are live. If you see that red tag right there, or wherever that is, right there, you are watching the replay if you don't see that red tag. So let me go ahead and get on here, and then we are going to get rocking and rolling. If I can find my live on here. It's kind of funny because I don't see it. Here it is. I was just pointing to the red tag. All right, so I hope that my connection is good because on this it kind of looks like it's a little iffy. So when you jump on, let me know how the feed looks. I'm going to go ahead and share it in some groups here, and then we'll get going. And let's see, one more share, and then we're gonna move on. Let me find this. Okay, awesome. Okay, so when you hop on, say hello so that I know that you're here. Otherwise, no big deal. I'm totally comfortable and fine with just talking to myself. I do it all the time, and I'm used to doing it on this camera as well. So, hey, Angela, so great to have you. All right, so let's talk about your identity and what that has to do with your weight loss and how it could possibly be affecting your weight loss. Now, again, I don't need to pigeonhole or mean to pigeonhole weight loss. This could be something that is affecting your overall life. This could be something that has to do with your wealth and, abundance. This could be your job. This could be, thank you, Angela. This could be relationships. This could be anything. This could be applicable to anything. So your identity and what you believe about yourself has everything to do with your reality and where you are. Now, you're probably thinking, well, I just want to lose weight, lady. And hey, that's all fine and well. However, if you are identified with certain things, then getting the weight off is not going to happen. And so that's why I felt that this would be a really good live to do during this challenge, because I know that oftentimes people are constantly repeating the same patterns. They're continuously finding themselves in the same old place year after year, and they just don't understand why, and they're frustrated. And so I hope that something like this will give you the breakthrough that you need. So again, in my journey, this is something that I am continuously studying and always up leveling in my own journey as well. And so as I learn things and as I have these aha moments, this is when I feel that it is appropriate to share along with you, because I know how profound some of these things can be as far as making leaps in your journey, whether it be physically, personally, professionally, that kind of thing. Okay. So a lot of the way that we basically our reality and the way that we look, let's say, for example, I have always said, even when I was a personal trainer, that I knew that I needed to dig more into their mind and what was going on in their mind, because what I was looking at on the outward appearance had everything to do with what was going on in here. So I used to say, what we're dealing with here is a manifestation of what's going on in your head. And so that was something that was very clear on with my clients. And I think it's something that it needs to continue to be brought forth, because once again, when people are in their journey of change, they always tend to look at the wrong things because they don't know what they don't know. Okay. So I am here to share with you some of the right things that are going to make major changes for you and ultimately make permanent changes. So the thing is that when it comes to these changes, we have to consider the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind, that is something that was nurtured, or I would say more so developed, between the ages of 0 and 7. So like right now, my daughter, who is 15 months old, is a walking subconscious sponge. And so the way that the way her reality will look when she's older has everything to do with the way that we operate in our day-to-day life with her. So if she continuously sees me like stressing over the scale, or maybe stressing about money, or if bills come in, if I react in a certain way with the bills, then she will probably grow up attaching a negative feeling to money, because, oh, when a bill comes in, um, instead of looking at it in a way of, oh gosh, I'm so grateful to have this service in my life and paying the bill, it's more like, oh my God, there's that sick feeling. Where am I going to get the money? Money is a limited resource. Oh, this is, so I'm just sharing with you different perspectives and just kind of giving you an idea of kind of where some of our beliefs come from in our, in our life right now. So oftentimes the way that we are operating in our life has everything to do with the way that our parents or an influential adult operated. So, if you grew up in a family that had, you had several older brothers and sisters, the way that they reacted, with regard to, let's say, food or money, relationships, that is when your beliefs had, started to become formed, ultimately creating the reality that you're living in right now. Okay. So for example, let's just talk about food. So if you lived with somebody that was continuously obsessing about the amount of food that they ate, and they were fearful of food, and if they demonized carbohydrates, and if they demonized, pizza, or, that kind of thing, chances are you were living that same kind of life, because that's what you were meant to, your subconscious was told to believe. And so it ultimately became a belief, it became a truth of yours. And at the end of the day, is it really true for you? Probably not. It's just something that you had carried on in your life, and that it's never been brought to your attention. So, I can probably look back and say, oh gosh, no wonder I'm like that when it comes to A, B, and C, because I used to see my mom and my dad do that. Or, oh my gosh, I used to see my brother do that. I personally have siblings that are, 10 and 11 years older than I am. So, they were pretty much almost adults when I was running around at a very young age, right? So your subconscious mind has a lot to do with where you are in your life and where you're going. And like I said, if you are finding yourself in the same old hamster wheel, in the same old loop, a lot of that has to do with just those beliefs that you have going on. So the way that your subconscious mind views you, honestly, is the only thing that matters. And that is what you have to kind of really ask yourself is, gosh, what am I truly identified with? What are my truths? What are the things that I really believe? What are the things that I believe when it comes to losing weight? What are the things that are lies and bullshit? What are the things that are just totally not true that I need to rewire and change? Okay. So this is some heavy work sometimes that needs to be done. Like, for example, I do this with my clients, and oftentimes they're just kind of like, I just never even thought about that. So when I oftentimes will have a first conversation with one of my clients, and like I said, I meet with them like this, face to face, not like sitting in the same place, but it's virtual through Zoom. Oftentimes I'll hear these common statements. I am lazy. I am a stress eater. I am, what's another one? I'm an emotional eater. I am somebody that just loves to eat chocolate, or I am someone that has always drank wine with dinner. So do you notice the pattern? It's always I am. So the words that follow the I am statement is basically what they're identified with. So another example would be if you have somebody that you're around and they're constantly always complaining, or they're always sick, or they're always, they're always in a position of drama, or they're always in a position of they just can't get a break, And the thing is that they're truly identified with that. They're identified with the drama. They're identified with the sickness. They don't know how to have a conversation without complaining or talking about what they have physically going on. ailment wise, because they're so deeply identified with this. And I hope that this makes sense. I hope that this is resonating for you. And I hope that this is giving you some ahas. Maybe you are that person. Maybe you're the person that's always, identifying with being sick all the time. Maybe you have aches and pains, and it could be just a simple diet adjustment with your inflammation. It could be foods that you're eating, which is oftentimes a super simple fix. But you're so identified with complaining about your aches and pains that you almost don't want to let that go, because you don't know what else you would talk about. Okay. So, for some people this could be hitting a thorn for some people, like, ooh, if, I don't know if that's true about me, or maybe that is true and you don't like to hear it. Oftentimes when you are hearing something or seeing something that you don't like, generally it's because it's a truth that you're not willing to face. Okay. So, just kind of keep that in mind as well. So your identity is really deep seated, more so than you realize. And oftentimes has nothing to do with you per se, but it has to do with those influential people that you were around at a very young age. So at the end of the day, like when it comes to my coaching with my clients, one of the biggest things that I work on with them is their identity, is helping them to either come out of or own a new. Most of the time, identities are, like I said, always involve like the emotional eating, or I am this, or I am that, or I'm always this. And so I always listen very carefully to what follows the I am, because again, that's what they're identified with. And if it's not something that is serving them well, then it's something that we have to change. If we do not change the identity, then we are not going to have any results whatsoever. So the person always definitely has to be in a position of being open and accepting and willing to accept this, and also be in a position where they're like, I need to really let that go. That is so not true. My gosh, that's bullshit. So the thing is you can change your environment, you can change the behaviors all you want, but if you do not change the identity, and what comes along with the identity is, your values and your beliefs, because the values and the beliefs ultimately are attached to the identity. So I'll give you some examples. So let's just say somebody says, I'm going to move. I need a fresh start. I know that it's going to give me a clean slate. Everything is going to be different, whether it be they move to a different state, a different house, a different apartment, whatever the situation may be. Or it could be a job. It could be something, as small as that. However, they find that when they do make this change, that the same shit is still happening. And the reason is because, and I like to swear, by the way, I like to say shit. I like to say the F word. So anyway, just putting that out there. So if they've, changed jobs, changed boyfriends, changed homes, changed states, changed cities, and they're finding that the same thing keeps happening, it's because they are not changing their identity. You can change like I said, you can change the environment, but you cannot change it ultimately until you attack the identity, the values, and the beliefs. Okay. So an identity, let's talk about this another example. So let's say, for example, you say you want to believe that you are fit. So I am fit, or you want to be successful in your business. So let's just say I am fit, and you have to think to yourself, okay, so what values encompasses being fit? What do you value when you are fit? What does a fit person value? What is important to you as a fit person? What does a fit person value? And so it needs to be something that is obviously applicable to that, but something that is easy for you to maintain. So like, for example, for me, being fit, that means energy. That to me, it's all about the way that I feel. It's a feeling for me. It's not so much about the aesthetics. I mean, sure, of course I'd be happy, who doesn't want to look leaner and more fit? But for me, it's a fit lifestyle to me is all about the way that I feel and being in control. So it's all about that. So for me, it's about my vibration. I talk about the needle of, high vibe versus low vibe. And if I'm engaging in things like higher processed food, alcohol, my vibration goes very low. And therefore, when my vibration is very low, my thinking is off. I feel like shit. I look like shit. And I just don't like the way that it feels. It has taken me a long time to get there. However, with consistency and awareness and falling down and getting back up and failures and all of those things would just keep moving forward, I've gotten to the point where it's like, okay, you know what? This is where I'd like to be, and this is where I want to stay. So for me, the value is vibing high, feeling good, having energy, not drinking as much, being very mindful of when I do have some, keeping it very limited, that sort of thing. And so what are some of the beliefs that I have around all of that? So the way that things are, the way that your world is because the way that you think to be is what you think to be true, right? So it has to be your absolute truth. And that's something that you really need to encompass and work on. What are your truths? What do you desire to be true? What do you want to change? And so that's whatever it is that you want to change, you obviously do like the exact opposite of, right? So your behavior, obviously, this is something that you actually do based on your identity, value, and beliefs, right? So that behavior comes after. So for example, like with this 5-week challenge, what I am doing is I am helping you to identify behaviors that are attached to certain identities. You see, so it's kind of like a reverse engineer. So as we're going along each week, I'm giving you these different tasks, right? And each task, for example, like the snooze button, so many people were like, I had never in a million years had thought that hitting the snooze button was affecting me in such a negative way. Or on the other end of the spectrum, I never realized that not hitting the snooze button feels so amazing. I cannot believe how much I'm getting done. Or one of the other tasks was being free of electronic time for 30 minutes. Now, all day long, which has been absolutely incredible, one of the gals in the challenge had posted how she had gotten a notification from her phone that said that her screen time had gone down a certain percentage. I didn't know that exists. Now, I find that absolutely fascinating. I literally just 5 minutes ago got a text from somebody that says my screen time went down 56%. Another person was like, oh my gosh, my screen time has gone down such and such percent. So it really kind of helps you to put things into perspective and also helps you to realize what you're identified with, what you're identifying, what you're identified with, and the behaviors that you're doing that identifies. Does that make sense? I hope that didn't sound confusing. I think it kind of did. So what I'm getting at is that I'm helping you to encompass and recognize behaviors that are taking you in the complete opposite direction of where you want to go. So if your promised land is over here, but you're identified with something that is going to take you over here, and if your behaviors and your beliefs and your values are connected with this belief, then you're never going to get over to your promised land. Okay? So I'm pretty sure that most of the time when you go on let's say a weight loss journey, or let's just say weight loss journey, that this type of stuff is probably not brought to your attention. Because, most people, like I said, and I'll say it again, is that they look at their weight loss as a math problem. Now you might say to me, well, Kelly, you kind of are right now, well, yeah, because that's where my journey has taken me. I'm in a position of, counting macros and becoming a macro coach because I need to be ready for those that are up leveling to be, to be at the point where they want to count their macros, right? So most of the time when you are, and let's just talk about that for just a minute. So most of the time, when people come to me, they are not in a position of like getting right down into the macros. There is a process that needs to get there most of the time. Now, I'm not saying that that's everybody, because, sometimes somebody will come to me and say, I've already kind of been through this whole thing when it comes to my relationship with food. I'm over it when it comes to demonizing. I've really let it go. I know what foods work for me. I really am in a position of just, wanting to up level as far as, getting my body to the next level. Then that is somebody that I would feel comfortable and confident with doing macro coaching, right? Just macro coaching. But the other end of the spectrum that I do is the lifestyle coaching, where we go through all of these steps, which is like the identity, the behaviors, all of that, while we are also tweaking their nutrition, finding the foods that speak to them at a cellular level, also helping them to reevaluate and, re-engage with their relationship with the scale that they have, had this love-hate relationship with, or I actually call the scale a form of suffering, because it's literally something that you step on, and it will give you, it'll say, oh, here's your stamp for the day. You're either going to have a good day or a bad day, because you're giving it that power. If you step on the scale and it gives you a number that you are not happy with, well, then your stamp is going to be, I'm a loser. I did everything wrong. And you obsess about it. Or if the scale tells you a number that you're happy with, well, then you've got the stamp of approval, and I'm doing great. And do you see what I'm saying? And so it really is kind of a shitty relationship that most people have with the scale. And so that is something that is definitely a relationship that needs to be reevaluated. I always call the scale the bad boyfriend. So there is a lot to to getting to where you want to go. And I just wanted to bring this to your attention. And this is also why I've done this 5-week challenge, just to kind of help you to realize that your lifestyle and the way that you operate in your everyday today life has everything to do with where you are right this very moment. Okay, so what you're looking at, who you're surrounded by, the way that you're thinking and feeling, your energy levels has everything to do with your lifestyle habits. The way that you sleep, the foods that you're eating, the things that you're watching and listening to, all of it all matters, all of it. So at the end of the day, I want you to really kind of think about this. What is it that you're identified with? Here's another example. I had a client, and this was such a profound moment for her, and it changed everything. She, kind of just said, oh, well, I'm a stress eater, just like it was a badge of honor, and if you're on my email list, I actually wrote about this, because then I called it the badge of honor. And, I brought it to her attention and said, you are really identified with this. Like, it gives you the okay to do it. Okay. And she's like, I never even thought about it like that. But she also had clothes in her closet that were from a size 0 to 12. And I told her, I said, that's not normal. But in her mind, it was normal, because that's what her mom did. Do you see what I'm saying? So this kind of goes back to the identification, and also who we learn from when we're younger. It really does. It matters. And so this is where our personal development comes in. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. I got to look at the light and get rid of the sneeze. So, whether you like it or not, there are lessons that we have to learn. There are personal development stages that we need to go through. There are things we need to accept, recognize, let go, keep, or rewire. It just has everything to do with your truth and, where it is that you want to be. So back to the 0 to 12. So I told her, I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. You have a ton of useless sizes in your closet. I want you to pick 2 sizes. I want you to pick your everyday size. And then I want you to pick the size that's just below that for when you do actually kind of, get a little bit leaner. So in other words, that little smaller size, generally you only have a few pieces, right? So it's kind of like maybe a black tie dress, cocktail dress, or a pair of your skinny jeans that you feel like, okay, when I'm feeling extra lean, these are the pants that I really feel my most confident and beautiful in. And that's what we did. So once she recognized it, accepted it, she realized that it wasn't serving her well. She did not want to be identified with that anymore. And she said, okay, that's it. I'm going to pick a size 6. So what she did is once she made that decision, once she decided that that was who she was going to be identified with, that is what she kept, was the size 6. And then she kept, a few of her size 4 outfits as well. Then shortly after that, she was able to clean out the closet, get rid of those excess clothes that were basically just hanging around for no reason, with confidence. She didn't feel this anxiety of letting go of this stuff because she was no longer identified with it. Okay. I hope that that makes sense. I do hope that you really take this seriously, that you really listen to even your thoughts, and also kind of, look around at your surroundings and ask yourself, gosh, am I identified with A, B, and C? Is that why this keeps happening? Okay. So I hope that I had given you enough examples. And again, this doesn't necessarily have to do with just your, your weight loss goals. This could apply to your financial goals. This could apply to your relationships. This could apply to your job. This could apply to, just so many things that matter. And that could, be possibly dragging you down in the other direction. So always remember that you've got that promised land that you have this desire for. And is your identity, values, and I feel like I'm going to sneeze, and beliefs lining up with that identity of where you desire to be? Period. End of story. Okay. So I hope that that was valuable to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, please feel free to share this if you found value. Also hit hashtag replay if you had watched the replay. Also message me, email me, let me know how you're doing. I'd love to hear from you, and comment below what your biggest takeaways from this live was, and have a wonderful Sunday. We'll talk to you soon.